Thank you, everybody, for attending tonight. It's the regular monthly meeting of the Clinton Inland Wetlands Commission, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. The time is 7:02 p.m. You call roll for tonight.
Absolutely. Scott Harley,
Present.
Ed Alberino,
Here.
Michael Florio, Thomas Welch,
Here.
Robert Fortson,
Here.
Bert Schmitz, Lawrence Edwards,
Here.
Christopher Horvath,
Here.
Mike Hardisell,
Here.
Doug Elliott.
Here. And you have a seat by the portion for Rob Florio. I think it's good. Remember tonight. All right, item agenda number 2, we need to review and approve the minutes both of our last monthly regular meeting on August 6th. I guess we'll do that one first. So
Okay, I like to approve the minute.
The meeting.
Okay, do I have a second? Second. Okay, Larry, seconds, any discussions? Those voting in favor say aye. Want to oppose or abstain? Okay, motion carries. And then we need to review and approve the minutes from the special meeting on August 22nd. It was our site.
I'd like to approve the minutes from August 22nd.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion for those that were there? Those voting in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone oppose or abstain?
Well,
I have to stay.
Yep, okay. And
Bert, did you say you abstained? Bert, to please.
And. All right, item agenda number 3, receipt of applications filed after the agenda. I don't believe that there are any. Okay, so on to item agenda number 4, this is the continuance of the public hearing for IWC 24-1. This is 327 East Main Street. Greg Fettis, PE is the applicant. Shoreline Partners LLC is the owner. This is for application for a regulated activity within 0 to 50 feet of the inland wetlands or a water course. It's for new mixed-use development, one-way traffic around the building, parking, stormwater system, retaining walls, and underground utilities. Assessors map 85, block 69, lot 121 in the zone B4. So if you remember from our last meeting, we continued it to allow Mr. Pettis just got here, opportunity to address some comments from engineering review and approval. They've resubmitted it. We'll ask Mr. Pettit to talk in a minute, but we did receive tonight response letter from Mr. Pettit. We haven't.
No, I haven't.
That was it sent out at?
This was sent today, so we haven't had a chance to look at this
Okay.
yet, and I think
Was
our
it email?
engineers, no, we didn't get an email.
No, we didn't. It may be best to have the applicant read it into the record, just to be clear, and to narrow, I can read it. One of the two.
It's a big document. So,
I did bring a few extra copies if that's possible.
yeah, if you have them, that'd be great, just kind of pass. them.
Florida was not there. You want me to be secretary, I'll do it. Read it.
I can read it when I get up.
Yeah, if you don't mind. Yeah,
Thank you so
right
much. It's very good.
Am I up?
Yep, go ahead. I guess you could either start with the continuation, if anything has changed on the plan since we've last seen them. Technically, last time, we didn't really get too much into it.
Mr. Chairman, what about, did we ask him to put some things on there? We specifically asked.
I don't think we opened the public hearing.
No, we were talking about.
You guys have seen.
Yeah,
Just
once.
what
We had a
we
conversation.
Yeah, well, we opened it and then continued
Continue.
to this meeting, so
So we
it's
can ask
technically
you
open.
questions. But not.
Oh, okay.
But you could go through your presentation, especially for,
Oh, we didn't open it.
The timeline from the clerk is August 6, 2024, regular meeting and public hearing. The notice was read into the record. My understanding is that it's open. That's the case.
I didn't think we did, because I thought we were opening it tonight, even an extension, we're gonna open it tonight, and in 35 days, which brings us to the next meeting.
Either way, you have one more extension opportunity to go to the next meeting. So that would be- with your request at the end of this, if there's something you need that. we just need to-
Right here. Can I? Can I be, yeah, I'll be ready. Stand over there. I'm gonna go through it first and then I'll, address Mr. Eaton's review. Greg, that's engineering. Office at 70th Street, Mr. Connecticut, representing the applicant Chuck Foe and, the owner of the property. So kind of as we've been before you a couple times, a couple delays. There's, a lot going on the site in the flood zone. There we have a subdivision to the north that historically has drained through. One thing we did add is this easement area, which is supposed to be a channel. That this would initiate the wetlands getting created. The subdivision, whether there's water traffic down there, what's some kind of wetland. The 60s, they kind of made it formal, added this easement. There's talking the easement language about utilizing it and piping it. None of that's really the original channel there. And so over time, we have what we marked out as wetlands that extended out into the grass areas, whether grass and wetlands, and they will think wetlands and grass extended. I don't know the answer to that.
Sure. Michelle just looked at the minutes from the last meeting, and then it said that the public hearing was not open. So. Open up the public hearing or you can go through.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think either, but so.
I think we can make it retro.
What's that?
I think we can make it retro.
Here.
It says you read the revised legal notice of public hearing in the record.
Yeah.
Then he moved it up, and then we talked about it.
Right.
Okay, yeah, we actually never did open the public hearing. So I'll need before you, I need a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make a motion.
Or,
I'll second.
Make motion.
okay. She makes a motion to open the public hearing, Ryan seconds. Any discussion?
Nope.
All those voting in favor of opening the public hearing, say aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? Now we're good. Now we're officially in public. Okay. Do we need to read the legal notice of public hearing?
I believe if it was read in the record in the last meeting, you should be okay. We can certainly read it again.
Let's read. Oh. All right, the Town of Clinton Inland Wetlands Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the William Stanton Andrews Memorial Town Hall, 54 East Main Street, Clinton, Connecticut, by Zoom and in person to consider the following: IWC 24-1, 327 East Main Street, Greg Bettis, PE is the applicant, the owner. Application for regulated activity within 0 to 50 feet of the inland wetlands or water course. For a new mixed-use development, one-way traffic around building, parking, stormwater system, septic system, retaining wall and underground utilities, assessors map 85, lot 69, lot 12L in the zone B4. At said hearing, all persons will have the right to be heard and written communications received. The applicants and accompanying maps and correspondence are available on the town's website for public inspection, dated at Clinton, Connecticut, this ninth day of August, 2024.
Thank you. Good evening, Greg, that's engineering, 70th Street, Connecticut. Here, in the ownership for the applicant, Chuck Bow, and the owners of the property. I'm gonna be relatively brief, with a lot of information in the record and thoroughly your professionals, and your staff. So I'll go through everything pretty quickly, and then if anyone has any questions regarding our design and so forth, maybe I can answer those and then go through most current review letter and our responses. We have not, didn't go to response letter, but we did not submit revised plans and revised stormwater management plan. So we plan on doing that. We would in the response letter. Time, especially the holiday week. So again, the site is located on the north side. 127 East Main Street is the address. Generally, there's a subdivision to the north that drains down through the eastern side of the site. There's a formal easement. Supposed to be a channel, maintained channel for water. Piping never happened. The channel is there. I think over time it's maintained and spread. Kind of spread wider. We had Snarsky had delineated the wetlands previously, and they have since even then into the site. So what we're proposing is a little over 10,000 retail building with above and associated parking, the residential use, septic and so forth up in that northwestern quadrant. As stated in our application, we do have one-way traffic around the building for safety, as well as access to the back, and potentially a drive-through window, although we don't have anything identified. Two curb cuts, currently it's kind of a wide, pretty much you can kind of pull in anywhere there. There's an existing flea market, which is probably single family home at some point, and then got converted to use sheds that were used for the flea market. Those will all be removed. Basically, there's a wall that's indicated on the plans that encompass the as well as the east side and some shoulder walls in the front along with one to keep the parking reasonable slopes. It is in the flood zone. And so it's one of the reasons for driving. Wall is building. It's in an 1812, which forces the first floor of the building to be at elevation 13. It was from, I think, 5th Street, back to site. So there is a decent amount of people going in to make the site for a viable. Just going to flip through the sheets very quickly. Second sheet is just the existing conditions plan, so you can see that as well as all the sheds that are located. Demolition plans kind of show that all of that. The existing conditions plan is getting removed. The site plan just goes into the details of the requirements for the sizes and so forth, which isn't a lot of it's not necessarily the concern of this commission, but it's beyond the planning and zoning. Parking along the front, handicap access. And again, as I stated, one-way traffic around fire safety and access. The zoning table again and which and so forth. But just say that the maximum ground coverage allowed is 80%, and we're about that. So, and there get 80% coverage. Again, drainage plan, basically all of the pavement gets captured in the stormwater system. And prior to leaving the site, it was through a hydrodynamic separator, one size rear. And it does go into some underground storage. One of the items, few letters, and I'll get to that. But the northern part of the site is turning into this basin, or the northern wetland basin, and then the southern system turning into this basin, lower wet. And all that drains into channel. Okay, it's not well maintained. But it drains under. We have reduced all of the storms. Again, some comments regarding the 2-year storm, which I'll address. Sections. System, and then all on both sides. One of the sides relatively, short, all 2 to 3 feet. We do have one that's 8 foot. But it kind of gives you an idea of it's a good barrier, similar to maybe, let's say, the Indian River shops that we're doing a similar type of wall here. Good barrier. This kind of shows the site plan and the grading plan specific to the main wetland. So you can kind of see, let's show here's the existing wetland line, and then the new wetland, which encompasses created wetlands as well as mostly the grass areas that you guys saw. So, and again, some of the previous comments was making sure underneath restoration enhancement areas, the created wetlands and the built wetlands reserved. It's kind of coincide. The mitigation plan and planting tables, I'll leave that for George Logan to talk about. he also had a plan that's submitted. City septic plan, located to the north. Previous comments regarding distances to infiltration and so. Mostly going, I don't think there were any different. View. Details. Perk test as well as the. Tested. Soil erosion sediment control, we did beef up one of the comments in the previous review was beefing up some of the erosion controls, at the wetland area. One of the current comments is to talk about construction, how we're going to protect both sides, where the existing wetland is, and then as we're constructing the new wetland, how we're going to make sure everything's well protected. We'll address that in either an additional sheet or on this sheet with the revised plans. And one of the other items was the big storm that goes through all our construction. So we will address that as well in the revised plan set. And then just some of the detail. Water. A lot of the other details are more. Some based. And bubble. Similar to what was used in India. Maintenance schedule, the hydro works, we will be sizing those accordingly for the water quality well, as requested by town engineer, septic details. And that is it. I will, if there's any questions, I can answer them now, or I can read through the comments.
Are these posted online? I'm sorry.
I did upload them this afternoon. Looks like I have these two extra and 3 extra copies, hard copies here. I can submit those to. I didn't rewrite, what's that?
We were talking about
We were talking about the blueprints. They posted.
Oh, yeah. This set is posted.
That's it.
I did resubmit. Made it on.
Yeah, we did, yeah, we did. That's why we got confused, because we changed, remember?
Yeah.
We opened it, and then we really didn't open it, when we closed, but what you said was just change the deadline. We would get the extra paper. Obviously, you made it.
Question, is there a future capacity for the water to go under Route 1? You mentioned the storm might come.
Well, so what we're sending there now, I think what's going there now is memory, should be below 32 CFS or cubic feet per second. It's heading there now. Proposing it, our 100-year storm is 30 CFS. So we are reducing it. Is there more capacity? That I don't know. I think it would back up into our site before it. It's gonna basically fill up and create a head on that pipe going out.
Is that what your site is producing, or is that like the area?
The watershed area is 32 existing and are added development. We reduced it to 30.
Anyone have any questions before we go through engineer comment? That might.
No, I just wanted to look at the
blueprints.
blueprints.
Has it always been?
It's hard to see
Apartments on top?
from here,
Yes.
if you're flying lines up. Yeah.
I think our initial
Maybe. The blueprints are not posted up.
We have plans revised for 817, which is what, it's presented. I believe.
Yeah, revision to 817.
Okay.
Yeah, some comments.
Email should be able to.
Raining.
Yeah.
If there's any specific information, folks want one up.
If you're looking for it, Eddie, on the list, like way down,
Okay,
the end of it says red. too.
okay.
And I have it up here if there's anything specific from any plan sheet, but
There you
we'll Zoom.
All right.
There you go. So what do they actually have going under post road now? Is it like 10 tubes, 15-inch tubes or something?
No, it's
30 and how old are they?
back in the age of it.
So would you mind going through engineer comment and just your preliminary responses?
So I'm just gonna, do you want me to read the beginning of my letter?
So it is in the record, so you don't need to.
I'll just skip to, and I'm gonna look at both their letter and ours, and if there's anything further that needs to be read, someone should give it a follow. So their letter talks about all the things that submitted and what they reviewed. Starting on page 2, about halfway down. Several items required for verification as follows, section 7.4D. A summary of wetland water course function value assessments. They talk about some of the state threatened species. Flipping to page 3, there's several listed. So their conclusion is unlikely that suitable habitat for species identified in this assessment exists at the site, given the quality, and again, George can speak to this also separately, but given quality and lack of maintenance and invasive and so forth, unlikely that suitable species identified exists. Then they talk about street and whether or not that runoff doesn't adversely affect. So I think we addressed, and I'm going to be my response. We are in agreement with CHA's conclusion, but this runoff from the site does not adversely affect the marsh, no significant impacts to rare species or their habitat or anticipate. And I think as long as we address the balance of the comment, we're all in agreement that it's unlikely that it would be based on our so 7.4E, lack of impact of the development and the following. This is pH or alkalinity at acidity level, turbidity or solids, bacteria count low. Estimate the changes in items 1 and 4 of its usage. So we also inclusion, I'm just gonna read my letters. That is, there be no speculative change in pH or alkalinity, acidity level, turbidity, bacterial count, flow. If corrective changes to the proposed drainage design are made pursuant to the below comments, we would support this statement. So as long as we address what they're saying in their comments is that as long as we address all the other concerns, number 1 through 22, that they would support the fact that we're not going to change anything drastically, just slight changes. Okay, so then going to number 1 on their page 3. They talk about litter on the site and that there's more likelihood with an active commercial development and some residential, that there would be additional litter on the site in the wetlands. And then migrate downstream through the pipe and to the marsh to the south. So the applicant owner shall employ extensive litter program to ensure that there is twice daily sidewalks to remove litter from developed areas, including but not limited to parking, landscape areas, and buffer areas. Special attention to before and after doing some events. We're happy with having plans. And if there's anything additional, we should be looking at, but we'll look at the stormwater quality management and make sure that we address all of the concerns regarding litter. It's problem people litter and just very careless and stuff gets blown around very quickly. So, but and you know, sure, the owner of the facility, the ultimate owner of the facility is here. We can talk about it once. One and one, several Mystic, Bratton, Waterford area, similar sites. So he's probably already addressed all those litter issues, but
Do you have that language in the plans or in?
they're not on the plans yet. I didn't have time to do a lot of plans, so basically what this letter, today's letter is saying is that I'm not necessarily agreeing with everything that Chuck had said, but we're willing to accommodate and everything with all of this state. So we will, after tonight's meeting, we'll address, we'll say here on the plan set and the stormwater management plan, get it back to Chuck sooner rather than later, so it's time to make sure we get everything. The next meeting, everything. Okay. So the second. So we're on top of the bottom line. Problem at all the sites. And particularly next to a weapon that's easily going to be blown in. What we did here.
Anybody can feel free to go to any of the parking lots like home. They're with. We don't let anything build up the parking lot. They're picked up every single day, every single parking lot. I don't want you driving in thinking it's a dump. That's the way I was raised and that's the way it's been said. So you don't have any fear of that, because that's just exactly how you make it. We go around. We give you all that.
For the record. The potential owner. Number 2 talks about. I'm just gonna, we kind of identified 2 areas. And I've been calling them the northern basin and the southern basin, west basin. So what I go, the 2 basins are all within one wetland area. The area will act as one wetland or individual minor basins. For stormwater storage for the northern drainage and then the southern drainage, so. It's not, this will provide a little better management and maintenance of stormwater system for the owner and the design engineer. The slight separation of the two basins is not critical to the design of the overall stormwater system, and the reviewing engineer felt strongly the two areas to be merged. We are going to talk about this just a little bit later also. On what is further, comments further down about the under drains and so forth, so I'll address that and just a little bit further. George Logan talks about monitoring reports, and you will see this. It's no problem with that. George also talks about snow storage areas, plateaus, the plans that. Uh, 6 or some stormwater quality, standard runoff volume and pollution reduction as a line, so we'll provide communication for standard 1 and standard 2. Within the stormwater systems, there's what's called an isolator, which basically allows you to capture mostly solids, sand and so forth, and then kind of maintain it. It doesn't get into the stone, and it doesn't get, doesn't clog it. So it's basically got a lined with fabric underneath, so you can go in and maintain it. Mr. Eaton, since we are treating everything and the root waters, we're treating everything prior into those underground systems that we don't really need the ice. We're okay, and so we'll modify and reflect that. Number item 8 talks about soil hit in the sorry, can you go back to question 6 about your design still on? You mind addressing that one? I didn't. Oh, so reducing the post-development 2-year storm to 50% redevelopment years. So we would need to show. Yeah.
Okay, is it the intent to meet that level?
The intent would be to meet that. It's a little more complicated than just, we're gonna be, so we currently need it. Kind of depends on how you look at it, but we need to show. Chuck, that you need it. And we need to meet it. You know, and it's yes, need that requirement.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Eight asks for soil test, the stormwater infiltration systems. So we're gonna take infiltration out of the question. Given that kind of already ran stuff with it out. It's not relying on it at all. And so we still need to do test bits. If we're not using infiltration, we'll run out and do a couple. Trade anything into the ground. We do would be a bonus. Number 9, infiltration testing. The new manual just doesn't allow you to use traditional perk tests. They want more involved system developing infiltration rates, but again, we're taking out the infiltration out of the components, out of the stormwater components. So we won't, I think we need to worry about that, but I'll just say. Infiltration system should be located a minimum of 10 feet down gradient, 50 feet upgrading from building foundation. I think we're close with the 10 feet. I think we're down gradient. The building kind of sits up. Again, I need to confirm and look at that specific requirement. But we'll need the 10 feet down gradient. He's accurate with number 11, we did not resubmit the existing condition stormwater counts. They didn't change, so we didn't resubmit them, but the new stormwater management report, I'll have everything in one report. Did look back at the old ones, which I think were valid. Make sure they're all in one package. Number 12 asks for us to use a different rainfall distribution. We'll make that change in HydroCAD. So we have a slight disparity in our acreage from pre and post. I'll get an answer to that and we'll put that into the new stormwater report that addresses that concern. I think it was maybe a third of an acre, so different, 8.3 something, 8 acres. I will also state number 14 is we'll stamp and sign the report. Site of interior or corrugated drainage pipe, fix that in the report. We use the type pipe with corrugations on the inside and out. New drainage pipes are corrugated outside, right? It's smooth on the inside. Under drains, you want to put it to. It's the next one. So we're gonna modify this slightly in the revised plans. But kind of as you go from north to south, the elevation drops within the wetland. So we kind of showed. Let's see it here. Yeah. We showed under drains across the bottom here in the southern, then we showed them in the northern portion, and then we showed them further up here. So what we're gonna do with this one, changing the two wetlands, is we're gonna connect the two basins with under drain pipe, and then we'll only do the ones down. We're concerned that you're not gonna really, well, one of you're draining it too much to make it not a wet. That's one concern, and the other concern is the elevations are too high. They're too high in the existing wetland, so as you go up, so how you're gonna actually. How the underdrains. So we're gonna clarify that. Basically, they're to get rid of, you get storm. We're not relying on infiltration. I'm not sure you get it too much in the basins anyway. So it's really just to drain that back down to the bottom of the basin, which is at elevation 3. This is the 3 contour. The 3 contour. Those inwards here are 2.5, so underdrain pipe. You're just below the surface, so you're not gonna. There's not gonna be a concern with making it dry. It's still, that water is still gonna be within 6 inches of the surface, which again, George did weigh in on plantings, and if it's still a wetland, the water table is basically regulated at 6 inches below the surface. So I think in our yeah. Seasonally saturated and temporarily flooded. So basically during the storm. But water would have been kind of lead through the under drains. Slope. So it's not rushing out. It's not. It's basically just letting it, because the under drain is allow the water to seep into the pipe. Yeah. Over towards this channel and then down and out through that. Yeah,
So the under drains are in the soil?
yeah, you won't see them be in like. You won't see the react. See like surface.
But then they pop out on the other side of your berm?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's one thing I gotta check, is specific questions. It appears the under drains will not daylight with an invert of 2.5. The designer must clarify, so I need to clarify that. That's a good question.
I don't see a detail might be
Okay,
useful to help us kind of understand what the purpose of those are.
yeah,
Great, it's basically fabric, crushed stone. And then appropriate like the two.
yeah, probably be. I'm gonna look at how we're gonna do it with the fabric, we'll probably wrap around stone. Pipe. Yeah.
Yep.
And 16C is the designer using exfiltration rate or CFS that is routed through the under drains. I'm gonna clarify that. We're not gonna do exfiltration now, so I just need to look at that a little closer to make sure it's correct. We got some cross sections and whatever sheet, I think I mentioned on a sheet. The cross sections, there's a little discrepancy. The wall one's further lower. Yeah, so I think we show. This is a little high here. So I just need to look at that and make sure. That the matches, because in the stormwater, we had a 3.45, and I think that shows a little worse. Not that much of a difference, but it's a difference of making it work and not work, so. I clarify, that was a good catch. We'll revise the plans, I think we'll get revised. Number 18 is about infiltration again, so we're gonna get rid of that. 19. Orifice outlets and culverts, get a match on the plans and the drainage counts, we'll take care of that. Same with 20. Some of our numbers are just still match. So you won't really see anything different. That plan, just a couple of numbers will change. And I talked about 21 already, which was the erosion control plan. That includes for the created wetlands, that includes sequencing and location of sediment erosion controls. So again, protecting it, the existing while you're building it, make sure that there's the correct sequencing. In construction or during the storm.
So Greg, well, the wetlands that you're gonna create, right? We're taking away and then you're gonna create wetlands. So when are you gonna use all the soils that you've taken out?
I think the soils we're taking out. Oh, they're wetland soils.
Right.
Yeah. With some topsoil on top and grass. Again, George can speak to this, but it's build wetlands, so it's not material wet. I don't think we want to use it.
Yeah.
You want to use it? Well, I think there's a special mix that you use. I'll let George, I don't want to overstep my bounds.
So that comes out then,
That would come out.
oh, that's.
And he's gonna be on site as needed to say, hey, use that or, hey, all this.
So you're gonna use a silty fill.
Again, let's let George, I'll let George step in. I'm on number 20, I'm on number 21, so I'm almost done.
So I just wanted to know, because I wanted to follow you close.
Yeah. He knows better, I would be guessing, and I don't guess.
Okay. Thank you.
So number 21, the last part of 21 is talking about what happens during a large storm event with water coming down from the north. How does it affect? Ours? So we need to address that in the, we will, with certain protection measure. Maybe it's temporary, I can't get the answer, but maybe like the sediment basin in this area. It would allow us to I'll address that in the plan set. And number 22 is our for disturbance ECN permit, with conversation with Army Corps today, we're going to submit our plan set for determination, from them. I said, let's see. So we'll all require permits from Army Corps will be in place before we start construction. Any changes after inland wetlands, as long as staff said they should be for modification.
Oh, you don't have it.
So that was it. If you have any questions, happy to answer them. And again, I don't know if you
I
want
have
to
two questions.
ask me.
I've seen the property, it's, a great depression over there. How many small buildings are there, 8 or 10 or something?
Something like that.
And those going to be gone.
Those all.
Now, the roof system, you've heard of rechargers.
Rechargers.
Yes, in the ground, recharges for storage water, for stormwater coming off a roof. Why not implement rechargers next to the building instead of, there's quite a bit of thought process going into doing this, I'm confident that they'll do a good job.
Well, we did.
That would eliminate, a lot of the filtering and stuff coming off the roof, because you can filter through the rechargers in the natural earth. Maybe 50 feet, or 40 feet of rechargers. It's the building. It's a dome, plastic dome, and they come in different lengths.
Yeah, we do have,
3 feet.
we do have that proposed.
You do.
In the front, along the front, was one of the comments. We need to move it to be 10 feet away from the building.
Right.
But there's a good section in the front here, and then there's another one in the back.
Because I don't have full plastic. Just.
Yep. Yes, it does slow down.
Cavity under the ground.
Yep. We're on it, we did it. So we're,
Should hire him, Greg.
yeah, all right, that's it for me. If you have any other questions, happy to answer. I'm not going anywhere, so I want George to.
Yeah, can you explain how the wetland creation is gonna work?
Yes.
Would you put that up again? Hello, everyone. My name is George Logan. We might have lost the first is, I did because I haven't been before this commission. I'm going to submit my. Basically, I'm a soil scientist and a certified professional wetland scientist. Certified senior ecologist to the Ecological Society of America. And my master's degree is in wetlands, wildlife management, and conservation development. So, and I've been in the field since 1988. I'm not sure when I will retire. First thing, I want to tell you what has been submitted to the record, and then I'll just summarize it, because I know it's probably more beneficial for you folks to ask some questions as we go along. The first report that was submitted to the record is what we call a on-site soil investigation wetland delineation report. And that's kind of explaining how the wetland delineation was done. The wetland delineation was done back in September of 2023. The report is from October. And this was a little bit of a different situation than we usually find. because the site has been so disturbed. I did put some pictures in the recent report, which is the wetlands assessment, kind of talk about it. So some time ago, around 2012, the USDA and the DEP got together to kind of clarify what resource science is supposed to do when it comes to human altered and human transported materials. So this is what's happened here. You have human altered and human transported materials. And by that, they mean fill. Or human altered means excavation typically. And what we're trying to find within 20 inches of the soil, the surface of the soils, is what we call an aquic moisture regime area. So if you find conditions, an aquic moisture regime within 20 inches, then you call it a wetland. Usually you want to have at least 2 inches of that. What's happened here is this wetland was a lot more extensive, and I provided some aerial photography showing where the wetlands probably used to be, probably throughout this site. The center of the site has been filled over wetlands many decades ago, so it's not something recent or even that was affected by the regulations. It was prior to 1907, the Wetlands Act went into effect. So the further you come out into this way, the more fill you have. The closer you get into the central portion of the wetland where the ditch is, which is also man-made, the less soil surface you have. So what you find out is, like we said, we have a little bit of topsoil, grows grass wonderfully, better than my lawn for sure. And then you have sort of coarse sandy fill, and then you hit the very wetland topsoil. You can see it. And sometimes it's, say, within 8 inches, and sometimes it's a little further than that, 12 or 15 inches, but still within the 20 inches, so we can still call it a wetland. And that's why maybe what happened with my interpretation was a little different from previous delineator, and the wetlands sort of expanded. But that's based on the information that we had received. So the second thing that I will tell you is that there was a wetlands assessment report. Summary findings, that's August 19th, it was submitted to the record. I go through the existing conditions, kind of describe past land use, and when the ditch showed up, and I showed some aerial photographs of that. I described the wetland. I don't have to do much description about the lawn wetland, it is what it is, but as you go further into the wetland, it's kind of a mixed bag. So in the center of the wetland, somewhere in this location, you don't have a lot of invasive species, except for you had a little crosswalk. You've probably seen that people used to have a little trail across. And the diversity of vegetation is decent. You have some black gum, you have even some swamp white oak. You have native vegetation. And then as you go towards the north, when you're getting closer to the watershed that's developed, because obviously the ditch, the reason for the ditch is because it takes a couple of sections of road and part of a subdivision and drains it through. Water quality is not as good. There, I think the wetland is doing a little bit of a job to filter the urban pollution, if you will. And that portion of the wetland is a little less bizarre. Even has some invasives like common reed rhymitis, which it's what it is. As you come away from the center portion of the wetland, you come closer to the road. It's a mixed bag. You have certain portions that are okay, but you start to see the mix of invasive species come in, especially along the edge where there's light. Typical one will be multiflora rose. And then you come out to your basin, means your color across the road. What size was that, Greg? Moving out 30 inch. It's a 30 inch. And it's pretty low, so during high tide, you'll see a little bit of water there, being pushed back up, most likely. And so overall, I looked at the functions and values of this wetland, and I said, yeah, there's obviously some functions and values, and some of them are based on the opportunity that's there, because of the fact that you have an urban, I live in an urbanized watershed. So the wetland is doing some things, nutrient removal transformation, some toxic pathogen retention. And I go through it, and I don't have any what we would call principal functions, but we have functions that are there. One of the functions Tim said was not there is endangered species habitat, but your consultant said, no, they're there. Because right across the way we have some type marshes and a bunch of species that have been documented there. And I kind of knew that. I thought for the most part that even though I didn't go and find out what they were, that it would be species associated with the tidal marsh, and indeed it seems like that's the case. Now, I'm sure that the question revolved around how to make this wetland. So what I did is, part of it is on the plan, and part of it is the information that we submitted very recently, hopefully on time, I think it was. There's a wetland creation restoration enhancement plan that I submitted. It's just a one sheet. Prior to that, I had submitted some 7 pages or so of pretty detailed implementation notes for wetland creation and restoration. And I also had some tables of materials, which I'm wondering if we submitted the revised ones. We did, because what I did with the revised ones, I added a column which shows you the codes for the various species, because obviously we have a little plan out, telling you more or less where they're gonna go. And I say more or less because I always have to give you that caveat that the most important thing to know about wetland restoration, creation, enhancement, is that someone of my type has to be there supervising. If someone like my type is not there supervising, there's no guarantee that this will be done successfully, and I know that because I've had to come in after it was all done to kind of fix things up, and that's never a good. But there was a question about how we can ensure that these are going to be wetlands. Well, part of it, you know, here's this 2,200 and some square foot of wetland disturbance, and that's the edge of the wetland, and that's obviously a wetland that has fill on it now, but it was still qualified technically as a wetland. And then these areas were basically more or less taking the fill that's there. Most cases, even if it's just a few inches, coming down to the original wetland. And then we're going to have to make an assessment as to whether we're or not, we're going to have to scoop a little more out of that, because the topsoil that's there now has been compacted, so it might not be as good a medium, so we have to make that assessment. But all other things considered, we're going to have a minimum of 6 inches of good topsoil that's not coming from anywhere on this site. It's coming from a clean upland source that doesn't have wetland invasives, so that we can not be chasing their tail. The other thing that I usually like to do, for quick establishment of vegetation, is put a top dressing, and that's usually a 2-year compost, good compost. There's several sources in Connecticut. I know one up in Manchester, landfill, that's one of the favorites. Up there, they sell it like it's gold. And so we put a little top dressing, that is great, especially for the herbaceous species, because we're putting a seed mix also, there's a couple of seed mixes that we prescribe. Now, how is this gonna be a wetland? Well, up in we go down a little bit so I can see the upper portion. There we go. So this is the portion that we're calling creation, because obviously we're outside of the wetland. Here, because the Phragmites is right here. So we're gonna make sure that that soil goes offsite, and we're not gonna be using that. So because other than that, we're gonna have a problem. But here we're basically depressing it down to, so this is a groundwater fed wetland, and so we're fed wetland also from the ditch, but mostly we're trying to go down into the groundwater. So we know where the groundwater is, and that's not going to change after we put those conditions. As a matter of fact, we might be recharging the groundwater, so we'll have a little bit of hydraulic mounding happening bring the groundwater up just a tad, in certain places. So, we have a bottom elevation of 3. Can we go back? Look at the other one. You can see that 3 goes all the way down to here. Is it 3 also? Yes. We do 3 everywhere versus flat as a pancake, and I don't like it. Now, this is the plan, so we're not showing microtopography, but what I usually do is I'll do a little microtopography creation where we're actually planting, because you get a lot more of the micro. You're creating a wetland rather than having something that's flat up. And Michelle that's here, who's your consultant, would probably agree with. Right, she's nodding, I hope. So the other thing I'm going to do is 2 things that we don't show. Somewhere about here, there's a very beautiful tree. It's a nice sycamore. So I don't know exactly where it is. I think it's probably closer to the property boundary. We might not be too close to it, but we might be. So one of the things we're going to check out is to see what the drip zone is. And that's going to be the limit of our excavation, because I don't want to hurt that tree. It's beautiful. The other thing I'm going to also do is, we'll figure out the under drain, and there might be other ways to get these areas, now that they're going to be connected, to get the, let's say, the stormwater volume there. So we'll put our heads together and we'll figure out how we're going to daylight the under drain to our ditch. It might require us to go a little bit into the wetland. Maybe we combine these under drains to one, bring it to 1 point or 2 points. We'll figure that out. But the idea is that somewhere in here, we're going to make a little something. Doesn't show it there because it's going to only be about 6 inches deeper than the elevation that you see there. Again, to provide a little bit of an area which might have standing permanent water, which might attract some amphibians. Not a bad thing. Yes, it's next to the road. I understand, but believe me, they don't care. If they find the right habitat, they're there. So we're going to have it slightly more rates. There's 2 inches of water, and all they need is 6 inches.
So we just did, well, it's on Post Road, we'll know where it came from.
Yeah, that's right. If you see a flattened corner, that's my fault. Yeah.
So most of these, you're saying most of the wetlands was done by the hydraulics, the water down.
Correct, so the
So
wetland,
it wasn't wetlands before and it became made man.
no, there was wetlands.
It's always been
Wetlands, always been wetlands. As a matter of fact, there were more wetlands there. Back in the 60s.
Yeah.
As you looked in the area, in the reports, I think it's in the record. Well, actually, in 1934, so.
Oh.
So, yeah, 1965 is the one that I was enamored, and you can kind of see there is the house. And in my view, this is my interpretation, the wetland profile, right behind the house goes all the way up there and then back up.
So how many acres you think were made from being, man-made?
None,
None?
none. So I think you probably have an extra half acre of wetlands there that don't exist today,
Okay.
because back in the 60s. They filled it.
And that was done by hydraulics pushing.
Right, and this is a non-wash area, so sands and gravels, mostly sand, so it's really the regional water table, not regional or local water table that's affecting what these wetlands are doing. So that's kind of, we also always talk about, okay, what are we impacting, what are we getting? So in that little report that I discussed, the notes, and we referred to them, we said that the direct impact, which is this thing at the edges of the wetland, which has, as it turns out, the most of the fill, the deepest fill, is 2,226 square feet. And we're creating a little over 5,000 square feet. And these are 2 locations, the one that you saw at the top and the one down here. The drier spectrum lawn, if you were up there. We'll also be storing, so these are the wetlands By the way, don't let this fool you. It shows that this is the edge of the clearing, but the edge of the clearing is actually, as far as trunks are concerned, is further back. This is just the dirt zone.
It's just the what zone? What was it? It's just the what zone?
Sorry.
You said that it's just the what zone?
So you see this line?
Yeah.
Squiggly line, that shows you the drip line
Of the trees.
of the trees, but the trees in this here are furthest back. There's a couple of trees that are here that are going to be taken. I think you saw those in the area, a little bit, the white pine and red maple. And then the rest of the trees are further back. And there might be a slight adjustment that we do in the field. We think that there's a tree that's, say, here, that has a drip zone there, we'll make sure that's, if it's a significant tree, that it remains. Again, this is the drip line, this is not the actual point, so I just want to be sure that I say that, and then we restore it, so not only with the 85,000 plus square feet of productive wetland, we're also restoring or enhancing almost 7,500 square feet of, so there's going to be a net enhancement, and I go into quite some detail. Now, the other thing that I usually look at as far as impacts, as you probably have heard before, for the most part, the wetland commissions regulate physical impacts, whether they're direct or indirect. So the categories, we have short-term and long-term impacts. Short-term, obviously, are the construction, potential construction impacts. That's usually taken care of by a robust erosion sedimentation control plan, which we have here, but also additional things that the site is relatively flat, so it's not particularly erodible, which is good, moderate or so. And then we look at some other potential impacts, the impacts on hydrology. You don't want for us to be water with. You also don't want us to make it too wet, particularly what's remaining. But usually it's the watering of the wetlands, it's the impact. But if you put too much water, it's like and that's happened before. You see that along our highways. And then the final look at is water quality. So we don't want to make the water quality of this wetland worse. Hopefully, we're making it better. There's already some impact that's ameliorated as you go through the wetland, and you can see the impacts in the northern portion of the base because there's stuff off the residential subdivision and roads. And then it stops, thankfully, because we have a good shading in the middle, so Pragmatis doesn't like shading. And then we have additional invasive stuff here. But again, the water quality will either remain the same or be slightly enhanced by what we're doing. Site, obviously, there's more volume of water, and Greg is gonna have to make sure we meet all the standards from the new stormwater quality manual as far as that is concerned. So the final, I think if we can come to terms and agreement on some of the technical things as far as the engineering, which I can't really speak to, we can agree that those have been addressed. I think at the end of the day, we're going to have something that's going to be at least a net enhancement in my view when it comes to just wet. So the impacts have been mitigated with this plan, which is the 2,000 plus square feet of direct level disturbance. Thankfully, that disturbance is in a wetland that's already disturbed. We did it in the wetland, providing maybe even order of magnitude to wetlands at the end of the day than what is there today. And of course, it has been said, and it shows in my notes, there's going to be a 3-year monitoring program. Usually the first year, depending on when we do it, counts as year 1. And there's typically more than one inspection. The implementation of the plan in year 1. And then year 2 and 3, there's usually at least 2 inspections. Usually we come there sometime in the spring, we come at the end of the season, and then we write up a report and send it to the commission. And the plans also say that if at the end of year 3, I'm like, I'm not sure. I think we need another year. That will depend on my assessment of the conditions that happen. And maybe we have a problem we didn't anticipate. So that will cover the additional year to cover making any corrections to the plan and be sure that we have a long-term. Now, one thing that I will tell you is if you look at the plan, what you will notice is that all the woody material is mostly in the perimeter. There's a few exceptions for some things like meadow sweet. They're in the middle. Probably this meadow sweet will have to be pulled because someone might say, well, there's something. The reason for that is because these wetlands are serving an additional function, and that is to withhold water. Right, so there's a volume control there. So we don't want it to go wild. We have all kinds of other shrubs and trees growing in there. What we want to do is to maintain this wet meadow situation in the center. So that will have to be maintained. And so the maintenance, we'll probably have to come up with a maintenance schedule. I sort of thought of that originally, so by the next time I'll describe one. But the idea is to mow, not down to the surface, but at least, 45 inches from the ground. The vegetation to preclude any other of the shrubs that we have there to grow. And typically, what I like to do is, if you're gonna do it every year, to do it in late June. Because they haven't grown high, so you hit it, they're gonna grow almost to their full capacity by the end of the season. When everyone else is looking dry, those plants will look green. Because, if you didn't cut them until the end, it would be, they've gone through their entire cycle, if you will, and be into seed and then be kind of red and yellow. By doing it in June, it's something that looks very green until the end of the season. That's been my experience in the past. So I think one cut a year in June, late June would be perfect. To maintain it as a mostly meadow and marsh here, obviously, and even at the top with perimeter of shrubs, which is also a good thing because let me see, and yes, I have put some things here to screen. Might go a little bigger as I'm looking at the plan to screen from the road, but the internal portion will provide some good habitat and this shrubs as they grow. And we have a couple of trees, by the way, I'll tell you a main mistake. There's an AR in the middle. I don't know how that came about. It must have been late at night. That's supposed to be an RM. That's a red maple. I don't know what an AR is. So there, we'll correct it for the next one. So we have mitigated for the disturbances. So the end of the day, in the long term, I believe that we have addressed concerns as far as making sure that wetlands are created, it's restored, and therefore believe that there are not going to be any long-term significant adverse impacts to the wetland resources that exist in the site. And that's the end of my spiel, unless you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question.
Thank you very much.
Very exciting. Thank you, appreciate it.
Any questions before we open it up to members of the public?
Well, is all of the water flow done by gravity? There's no mechanical sump pumps pushing the water down, right?
No. Area. No pumps. This is on a new slab foundation. Right?
Yeah, and that slab foundation is coming up from like 7 feet to 13 or something, right?
Agree. Right, before we open up to comment from the public, just our town engineer, if you have any comments, you can speak. If not, you don't have to. I know that you haven't had a chance to be there, really responsive.
Sure, I did look at their response to comments, and I'm also here with Michelle Ford from Ecomax. who's our wetland scientist. For the record, Chuck Eaton with DHA, town engineer. So there's a lot of technical engineering, comments in there, but I think the big thing that we're looking for Mr. Fez and Mr. Logan to work together on is with the created wetland system. What you have here is something that is not very typical in that you are creating a wetland and also using that wetland for engineered stormwater treatment. So, wetlands are living, changing things, let's say, and inverse to that, your stormwater management system, you want that to be something that can be maintained and stay the same in perpetuity. So you have to marry those two things, so they need to be able to come up with a design that allows the wetland to function and live, and yet also do your stormwater management, because that stormwater is being detained by the wetland. So if you drain the water out of the created wetland, you can have a negative impact for the wetland. If the wetland, on the other hand, if the wetland has extremely silty soils, your underdrain system is not gonna work, and you're not gonna have that volume there to detain the stormwater. So there's a balancing act there, and that's something that, these folks are gonna need to figure out. So I don't know if you have any other questions or anything like that. If you have any wetlands questions for Michelle?
No, like, very, like I said before, it's very insightful when taken away and then rebuild a new way.
Right. Typically you don't mix stormwater management with created wetlands.
Yes, my first.
That's why I was talking about the recharge.
Yes, that's
Still, I think this is very. And I live in wetlands too, but I, sidewalks and stuff, and then the wetland scientists, walks and stuff. State parks. For delineation and all that stuff. I mean, like a good understanding of this. But I've also do remodeling, we do a lot of stuff with roof systems. So sometimes you have to have this recharging system. To catch that one, and it doesn't affect the wetlands of it. Or it's very minimal. It can contain the water that sewer. That's it.
Just one thing that I think will need to be discussed just for the record, to keep Chuck's time going with this, we can do that appropriate conversation about the fees and third party review fees at some point with the applicant about what is necessary in terms of final reviews. Because my understanding is he has been largely expended at this stage.
And I think one thing that's been expressed is, because wetlands do change. And even though this is set and, architectural drawings and all that stuff. And it could change right in the middle of it, and that's a good thing, that knowing that it's, flexible in that aspect. That you understand it's flexible. So, if there was something that you didn't expect to happen, a year later or something like that, you can go back to the drawing. Just, bend the rule a bit.
And I might have misunderstood this, but in the walkthrough, I thought people said to us that underneath the drive-through, there would be some kind of pumps. And maybe I heard, does anybody recall anything about?
No.
Okay,
No,
The only pump I think we heard when we were out there was one that was draining the existing basement.
well,
I mean, that's, yeah,
okay.
that, yeah, no pumps.
All right, at this time, we'll open it up to the public for comment from the public. So I'll first call those that are in favor, want to speak on favor of the application can come up and talk. And I'll call anyone that's wants to speak against the application can come up and talk. And then lastly, anyone that just would like to speak neither for nor against the application. So would any members of the public like to speak in favor of the application? Okay, hearing none, is there any members of the public that would like to speak against the application? Okay, is there any members of the public or online that would like to speak neither for nor against the application?
I would.
Okay, can you mind identifying yourself?
Michelle Neary.
Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
So, I have a couple of properties abutting this and, I know Greg does great work. I'm sure he did his due diligence on everything. But the culvert on the east side, the far east side on the corner, that does flood pretty much every storm and it's state owned. I'm not sure if, the state had a chance to review these plans. I don't know that process, if they're supposed to review it first, because I guess they would be also in a butter. And typically when anything's done on Route 1 or off Route 1, the state also has to approve the drawings. So that's one question that I have. Can you hear me?
Yes, we got.
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. And the other thing that I just would like to know, that it is a very large building, and on the east side, you know, there's a nice buffer. There's about 100 feet between the property line and the building. But where I am, in the corner there over on Bluff, where the traffic would go around the building, there is no buffer. So I'm a little concerned about that. I would like to see more space there. And I don't know if that has anything to do with wetlands or not, but I do know, because this is in front of wetlands. And, you know, obviously Greg did a lot of work on this. You know, the wetlands section takes up so much space. It's pushing the building towards us. It's not like in the center or anything like that. So those are two things that I, you know, would like to note, because it's typically there's a setback, there's a buffer, and I'm not seeing that on our side. On the opposite side, there's really, I think it's the car wash. So I don't think they would care if you were close to them, but, you know, having that it will be moving traffic coming through, it might be a concern. So I don't know how many units you're gonna have in this building. Can you answer that question?
I guess the applicant, if you choose to answer that question, you can, but you don't have to address members of the public. You don't like to. I will say, you know, our view is just the wetlands and not really anything other than the building. All that will be covered under separate planning and zoning permit. So I guess, Michelle, to your kind of questions, you know, as far as, you know, units of the building, that's really kind of outside the purview of the inland
Okay.
wetlands committee.
All right, well, those were the things that I just wanted to note, because this is the first time I'm seeing the drawing, so,
Okay, thank you very much for your comment.
okay.
Member of the public did bring up a good point about a Connecticut DOT encroachment permit. Is that going to be necessary for this?
It will be, yeah.
Okay, and that would then trigger the review of the.
Triggers the review of the stormwater as
Yep.
well as the, driveways.
Okay, that,
Sightlines, driveways, and stormwater.
and you haven't applied for that?
Not a
Okay. All right, any questions from the commission?
No, sir.
So applicant had stated that they're gonna end up revising their application to address engineer comments, resubmit to our engineer for another review. So I guess with that, we can, take a motion to continue the public hearing,
I'd like to make a motion to continue.
right? Sorry.
Yeah, it would be, guys, I'm sorry to interrupt. It would be a motion to continue. I believe the due date, the next meeting is October first, so documents would need to be in by October 15th. In order to do. September 15th. There you go. September 15th and, also any additional fees for town engineer review need to be taken. That's.
Okay, the applicant can work with the town on any permit or additional fees for the application. Being at that, we're gonna, request a continuance. Public hearing will still remain open so that we can still take public comment at our next meeting as well. So, I'm sorry, go ahead, your motion. Motion.
Somebody want to second it?
Second. Okay, any discussion on continuing this to our next regular monthly meeting? No, all those voting in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed or abstain? Okay, motion carries. Great, thank you very much. That will continue.
Thank you, Barry.
The regular monthly meeting next month. All right, moving along to item agenda number 5, administrative review. This is going to be IWC 24-3, 31A Old Post Road, which is Shoreline Garden Center. The applicant. 31A Old Post Road LLC is the owner. This is for the application for as-of right determination, but they're asking us for an as-of right determination for an additional greenhouse. The assessor's map 77, block 58, lot 62-1 in the zone R30. And I don't believe that the applicant is here today.
No, he's not. I saw them today. They're not coming.
I think they need to be here.
They asked me out, right out, to figure out, because they have a fire department, I said, no.
So I'll just read to everybody. So those of you that were on the site visit, obviously a nursery looking to build.
Yep.
He's looking for a determination of an as of right.
Yep.
I'll read just real quickly from section 4 of our regulations.
Yeah.
Titled Permitted Uses as of Right and Non-Regulated Uses, number 4.1 states, the following operations and uses shall be permitted in inland wetlands and watercourses as of right. Number 4.1A, grazing, farming, nurseries, gardening and harvesting of crops, ponds less than 3 acres, so on and so forth. But the third one clearly states nurseries. Right? Guess for discussion purposes, does anyone believe that this is not a nursery? Not.
No,
As of right.
Incognito.
I think we all say it's a nursery. So with that, I'll take the motion to determine that this is an as of right use.
I'll make a motion to, IWC 24-3, 31A Old Post Road, Shoreline Garden, so it is definitely as of right.
Okay, about 14 seconds. Any discussion? You all think it's a nursery? Okay, all those voting in favor say aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? Okay, motion carries. On to number 5B, approval of wetlands restoration plan for a cease and desist order. This is C-24-44. Going to be for 18 Glenwood Road. WEO Kathy Savona is the complainant. Armin Deep and Gurmeet K are the trustees of the Singh Family Revocable Trust, are the violators and property owners. It's violations of section 4.3 and 6.2 of the Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Regulations of the town of Clinton, effective February 1st, 2022, pertaining to the cutting, clearing, grading, deposition of material, and alteration of inland wetlands without permit. Assessors map 54, block 53, lot 2-DO 15280 in the zone R60. It's Mr. Singh, how are you?
Pretty good. I'm saying, 3 Conwood Lane, Connecticut, 06413. So I am the trustee, I'm one of the trustees for Singh Family Revocable Trust. little bit of correction, this is not cease and desist, this is a cease and correct word. That was the original complaint.
Okay, yeah, it's just written wrong. Okay.
So, it was also a show cause hearing, I came to that, just a couple of months ago. Brought a bunch of pictures, I still brought a bunch of pictures. Defining the area that we already discussed last time, how much work we've already done on this property, clearing all the mess that we had there. 30-yard dumpsters, all that. I gave you the whole spiel last time. One of the things that I think I also presented some evidence and pictorial evidence that this was most of all the stuff that we were talking about was pre-existing. But as Abby was here, Abby was also there the first time that she was there, so. I did put some wood chips around here and I agreed that I did that. And we need to correct it. So long story short, we were trying to find the soil scientist. We had those, that's where we lost a couple of months. We were able to find one. Michelle Ford, she helped us put a restoration plan as requested by the commission. So the original plan that she wrote, it's actually with the draft copy, it didn't change anything in it. You want to go over the plan or just scan through it real quick?
Yeah, why don't you tell us kind of what the plan is?
So
to
the plan,
remediate?
so basically, Mr. Singh, this is the site overview, impact observation and restoration. So she basically captured the observations in the document. The next where the restorations are. We can I can quickly scan through. So this is the picture that she drew, giving different areas what she recommended. The very first one says the placement of the wood chips proximal to the area limits helping to suppress the invasive vegetation, particularly Japanese still grass and all that stuff. So this is, she had 5 comments there. Michelle is here. If I misspeak, you can. I see the net benefit of applying portion of check to mitigation that kind of plan. So the area that I was talking about, around 4 feet of walkway, because that was my happy spot. I'm talking about my happy spot. So I wanted to keep that intact, and I requested that last time also. We were waiting for the restoration, but. So her recommendation of wood chips suppressing Japanese still grass. So it can stay there. Her recommendation. In order to mitigate, number 2, in order to mitigate the impact of the material placement within the regulated wetlands, this is that area she's talking about. She placed 5 stakes there. 2, so we don't take the heavy machinery or anything back there. We can bring up any stumps or wooden material that was there. I have pictures of those. I can go over each stake to show you. Planting at least 8 native shrubs, dogwoods, viburnums, and willows. We have already installed or planted 8 trees there, but if the commission wants us to plant more, we're happy to plant more. So this was done before we did anything. So this was the wood chips we were talking about that which she's talking about, suppressing the invasive species, so it's not really damaging anything. So. This is the second page. Basically, all the branches in the back, we just took out everything and put it out there. So one of the things that she also recommends is we can use this material and create it as a berm. So we are not. I personally, looking at it now, I think it would be better if we remove it, get it offside. It's not. It doesn't look nice. And also, it's just stuff sitting in the middle. That's not, I think that's not helpful. Your back is fine.
I agree.
Um, So. This is taking a picture from, so these are the posts. Can you guys see it?
Yeah.
So these are the posts, that she installed there. All the shrub or all the stuff that we had in the back, we took it out ourselves. And this is from the other side. All that stuff is out, that's been all taken away and removed.
How will you be removing it? With machinery?
With the machine, yes. So on this side, it's already grass.
Mhm.
So we're gonna pick it up, either we put it in the. We get a dumpster. We're not gonna install a dumpster here, it's gonna be,
So,
yeah. So we'll get a dumpster, get all this material and get it up.
I put a lot of chipper truck to it, you don't want to.
I don't want any kind of machinery there, I don't wanna mess with it.
So is that,
No, so this time, so this is where, it's recommended, yes, this side is wetlands. And those are plants. So. This is a picture of the plants that we planted, but in the back here, this is all wetlands.
they don't put no machines on there.
Yes, we are not bringing any machine, so no wood chipper or nothing. So we will take with the tractor, get it up, put it in the dumpster and out of the site. I think this, I don't want to bring any more machinery in there because the wood chips with what it really triggered. I, for one load of wood chips, we got 3 wood. It's just. So, one of the things in our recommendations you talked about, maybe we need some, grass seed here or the. Wetland specified seed. We don't have to do anything, the grass is automatically, it's growing itself. We don't have to do anything there. I'm sorry, I wanted to put it nicely, but.
It's okay.
You did a nice job, Barb. Come on.
So. If you have, we will move all the stuff before October 3rd is what, Kathy has recommended. Yeah, so move this out by or complete this stuff. Oh, third. One of the other things that she's recommending. In a draft motion is, pretty much the same thing what Michelle or the point has mentioned. I do have 2 or 3 questions from the commission. If we move forward with this plan. I've already planted 8 trees there, 5 willows, 2 of the river nuts, and 1 dogwood. If commission thinks that I should plant more, I'll be happy to plant. It's your call.
It's my understanding that this is the, that would be included in this, correct? I mean, I don't think they're looking for additional Wetlands, I thought, well, he's already done that.
In the.
I did it last year. So when I was clearing that, or these branches, we were just pushing it back. That's why I took it out. And we took that out, I planted those trees myself. But if we think we need more, I don't mind planting trees, it's not gonna hurt.
So the restoration plan that you submitted for approval shows 1, 2, 8 new.
Yes,
plants.
18 plants.
So if you don't want to put them in, you need to remove that from your submitted restoration. So that the plan that we have on record
It
matches.
matches yours.
He's already planted.
He's already.
You already planted 8 of them, so if
So you've already.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
Okay.
That's it.
I just want to say this too, I've been down there. When he took over. It was the biggest dump you ever seen in your life. I just want to put that on the record. What he did was incredible work on it. And the DPW was just there and they put a curbing set. Did that help you out a lot?
Yeah.
So with the curbing set and what he did down there. I gotta tell you, it looks beautiful. And I would get rid of those. My opinion, that they're so beautiful, I would get rid of those stumps and everything. Because the place is beautiful.
So even I was thinking there will be a nice berm and to keep everything away. But I think it's unsightly.
Yeah, just get rid of that.
Get this out, keep it
The
clean.
place is beautiful. You spent, I don't know how much money you spent on it, but it's gorgeous.
But it's like, it has my happy spots.
All right, we got your hat on.
So we will, but as time goes by. If I want to plant anything else, do I need permission from the commission or?
Yeah, because you're in the wetlands, right?
Outside the wetlands.
Well, so this is,
All I would
It
do,
depends what you're doing.
yeah, so I'm not taking any machinery there. I'm not taking any machinery there. I am not, if I'm planting 2 more villas, I don't want to be so stuck and say, oh my God, you touched it again.
I think that Kathy Savona is one of, these little details, but I think that if you had an issue like that, you should just call the office where she's at, she'll just give you permission. over the phone.
Yeah, we've never regulated candidates.
Just confirm what you're planting where and.
Yeah, she knows what's going on there.
Plant something good like we can have like an apple tree or a pear tree or something. No idiots.
So the other part, she talked about on her draft motion of approval, number 6, is 12-month, after 12 months. Monitoring the port. I don't know what we need there.
She would just do a site.
Yeah, sidewalk. It's a growing season, let it sit, let it go for a year.
Yeah,
And then we go, she goes back.
Right, so she can come there.
It means in a year from now.
Yeah, she
Yeah,
will.
we come back, compares the remediation plan to what is
Yeah.
there, and just.
There.
And it has Michelle listed specifically, so Michelle will provide a report at that
Yeah.
time. To say that things have been restored, that it's continued in its current state, that whatever we need to come back, it's come back. And so that's what the condition says.
Yeah, so Michelle will provide a report now, when all this will be, well, these 5 things will be addressed. But after a year, she's gonna come back again?
That is the suggested condition that Kathy
Yeah,
put in this.
She does that with everything. We do that with every,
And that's, right, then the question.
every house, everything we do, we always.
So what I'm saying is, Kathy's welcome to do it, so do I have to hire a solicitor to do that, is what I'm trying to say.
So that's up to us to decide if that's Kathy's recommendation, but obviously the commission.
It's a committee, it's our, it's something.
He would have to if he's.
He's a breaking.
Conditions, I think.
If he did it,
She's more or less in control of that. And, I think that you either close it without the scientist or table it for the next time.
yeah, my personal opinion, I don't think you should have to pay for them. So scientists go down there, and I'm being honest with you, that's my personal opinion. I think other commission members agree, because you went above and beyond, you did what you did.
The purpose of this cease and correct is to correct it and bring it back so that it can allow it to go back. And I think that's.
And you did that. I mean, it's beautiful, it really is. But I would get rid of the stumps.
Yes,
So
before October 3rd.
does anyone from the commission have any questions for Mr. Singh?
No, I
And his
respect
review?
him, he's a great guy, a good guy.
Okay, yep, go ahead.
Sorry, if you remiss if I didn't speak up, Mom, you may be unhappy with me speaking, but I'm about to do it. Michelle Ford, with Eco Maps, I'm a registered professional soil scientist, professional wetland scientist, certified wildlife biologist, all the things you need after your name to get a job with an ecology degree. And so this was obviously my plan, just a couple of points of clarification, so I know what you need moving forward. The plantings here, these shrubs as depicted on the plan were pre-existing. So what I had originally recommended was some more native plants, some shrubs, to kind of bring some shade into the area rather than kind of just the, I don't want to say barren slope, but just the grass. So we're clear, I'll revise the plan, but I will remove those shrubs, is that correct?
I don't think you need to. I think it was just clarification on if those were meant to be existing.
They were not, they were meant to be.
Okay.
Correct.
And he's got the right?
No.
No.
We want two,
No,
Yes.
One of them,
just want 8 more.
Yes,
He's
he
got-
has several shrubs there, I don't know how many are there. But what I'm showing here is work that's to be done, not what's
Yeah,
existing.
that's what we needed clarification. So,
Right,
yeah, you would like, what is stated here, addition, that makes sense.
yes,
I think he's willing to just put him in if he knows.
Sounds
between you and the commission, I just wanna know for the plan what should be shown.
Okay. We'll
Yeah,
figure
we're
it out. Thank
Whatever you recommend, whatever, you know.
Well, I'm a businessman, do you want to negotiate for? That's a bad joke.
So that's one thing, so you will decide the number of shrubs, or they gonna take them off.
What do you recommend? I'll ask you.
That's the recommendation.
She's got it right. Sure.
Yes, it is perfect.
That's their recommendation.
I'm on the side of the wetlands, right, so I'm
Thank you.
advocating for
That's what-
enhancement, whatnot. Now, keep in mind too, what's interesting about this is normally when you have placement of wood chips this extensive on a property, you would expect, oh my gosh, this is gonna be really bad. What I was pleasantly surprised by was the depression of the invasives on the property, right? So what Amon goes and he sees is a beautiful stream and he has a happy place. I go and I see Japanese silkgrass and I see, knotweed, and I see all these other things that he doesn't see, which is a great thing. I wish I had that piece in the wetlands. And so I think what's actually being done here with some of the wood chips, they're not to a depth where they're suppressing all the vegetation, but you have a lot of nice little, stackings that are coming up from the red maples that are in the area. So they are actually doing a lot of good, and keeping them as recommended allows him to maintain that pathway to get to
That's right.
his bench and to the happy place, which I think is great. This area on the side that's to remain, that's even growing even faster than some of the areas over here. I think what he's done with the stumps was great. He did a very delicate job, carefully removing them. The wetland is intact, the root zone is intact, so I agree, getting them out and off-site as recommended in the report would be great. You recommend that to some people, like, oh my God, it's gonna cost an arm and leg, that's terrible, I can't do, right? So that's why it was in here as alternatively, they could be removed from the site, which I think ideally is a good recommendation, so long as that behavior from whomever it may be doesn't continue where they say, oh, I'm just going to dump these stumps back. What? Right, so I think that won't happen, but that was the recommendation. In terms of the monitoring report that was suggested as a condition, as a soil scientist or wetland scientist, I don't think that's necessary. I think personally, I think that you have your wetland enforcement officer who could go out there, as you mentioned, at the time and say, yeah, this looks generally the same as it's supposed to be. There's no continuance of a violation. I think you're in good shape. The other thing as well that I would suggest, and I believe it was suggested that I go out and provide an as-built that these conditions have been met. That's to the commission, that's to staff, that's to you. I don't know that I necessarily need to do that. Amon has a plan. It's fairly clear, right? We've discussed it at the meeting.
Yep.
And you have a WEO that can go out there and say, yes, looks like that, and that's good. Again, totally up to you, but I don't necessarily need to go and charge him for another half hour, 45-minute, hour site to say, oh, it looks on the plan. It's not complicated stuff, so that's just another recommendation to consider. Not to talk myself out of it, but I just want to be realistic of what's needed.
So Michelle, I have a question for you. We have on here after restoration work has been completed, Michelle Ford, will provide an as-built, that's item 5, and then item 6, we have after 12 months, Michelle Ford provide monitoring reports when this officer. Would it be your advisement to remove both of those or just one?
I don't know that they're necessary, but I also am not gonna be the staff's obligations otherwise. So if she's absolutely too busy and that's something that the town recommends or needs, then certainly, but I don't think it's necessary for me to do that. I think that it's very easy to look and see the way that this is done. This isn't like the 327 East Main where you're looking at grading and
Oh,
drainage.
God, it's gonna be.
This is, I mean,
This is
I mean,
the
it's pretty
clean
straightforward.
edition.
So I would recommend that if there's any complications, I can be reached, taken, you come up here and have some questions, we can discuss. But that would be my recommendation, is not to put the burden on him to have me come up and say.
Thank you so.
So
There's certainly staff capacity to do that. So.
I feel that it's satisfactory what he's done, and what he's doing.
Me too.
As long as it's up to, Kathy, just to find it satisfactory also.
Yeah.
So I have a draft motion for approval here written by Kathy. I can read it, edit it as I'm reading through it based on.
For this? Yeah, got
Discuss. All right, so I'll make a discussion. Any questions?
no. Yeah.
Thank you very much. This is really.
Very kind.
All right, this is a lot to read, so I'm just gonna dig into it. I'm gonna make a motion for approval. I move to approve the wetlands restoration plan dated July 31st, 2024, prepared by Michelle Ford, PWS, CWB, CESSWI, Eco Maps LLC for 18 Glenwood Road for remediation of C-24-44 violation of sections 4.3 and 6.2 of the inland wetlands and water course regulations of the town of Clinton, effective February 1st, 2022, pertaining to the cutting, clearing, grading, deposition of materials, and alteration of inland wetlands without permit, assessors map 54, lot 2 / D O15280, zone R-60 with the following conditions. In order to, number 1, in order to mitigate the impact of the material placement within the regulated forest wetland on site, wood chips and coarse woody debris will be carefully removed to the extent feasible in order to avoid soil compaction and further impact to native vegetation. No heavy equipment should be driven directly into the wetland, but rather the work should be conducted using a small excavator that can reach into the wetland and remove the material. Upon removal, the material can be, if desired, used to create a small berm, but does not have to be. That can act as a boundary marker to prohibit for future access. Alternatively, the material can be relocated off-site to a non-regulated site on the property. 2, planting of at least 8 native shrubs, e.g. dogwoods, viburnums, willows, in the area shown in the attached restoration plan will help mitigate the impact of any clearing to aid in the recovery of woody shrubs in the area. Further, the shrubs should be monitored for survivability for at least 1 year. 3, although seeding is a common restoration practice, in this instance, the efficacy may be limited due to the presence and abundance of invasive species that could outcompete the native seeds. However, application of native seed mix over the remaining wood chip areas may provide establishment of at least some native species in the area. 4, the remediation will be completed by October 3rd, 2024. 5, the proposed wetlands restoration plan complies with sections 6.2 and 6.3 of Clinton's inland wetland regulations. I'd also like to adopt the following findings of fact. 1, as conditioned, the wetlands restoration plan incorporates reasonable measures to restore the inland wetlands impacted by the unpermitted activity conducted in a regulated area 0 to 50 feet from the inland wetlands. 2, The completion of a restoration plan approved by the Inland Wetlands Commission for inland wetlands violation C-24-44 will satisfy the conditions of inland wetlands enforcement regulations 13.A and 13.3C.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, so it's a motion for approval of the restoration plan. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any seconds? Discussion. You want to have any issues with restoration? Okay, we'll take a motion to vote. So in favor, say aye. Oppose or abstain? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, Mr.
Simon,
Thank you.
Well, I am planting 8 more trees.
You are.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
nice shrubs.
Yeah.
No Indian.
All right, moving on to item agenda 5C, this is IWC 24-4, 56 West Shore Drive. Lenora Arello, on behalf of Bob Doan, PE is the applicant, Judson Jar is the owner. Application for modification of a previously approved IWC permit, which is IWC 23-4. This is to modify previous inland wetlands permit to add a 4-foot by 7-foot ramp and relocate a float. Assessors map 14 to lot 4, lot 14 in the zone R30. Mr. Joan, are you able to hear us online tonight?
Yes, I am. I don't think I have anything to add after our site walk. I'm here to answer questions if there are any. And I have a lot of, maybe it's just my computer, but I can hear the commission very well. But when people are speaking from the audience, the audio is broken up considerably.
Okay, we might be able to fix that
Yeah,
in the public space.
but any questions, I'm here to answer.
Do you want to? I guess let's do the questions.
All right,
Mr. Down first. Go ahead.
well, a couple of things, Mr. John. Should I bring it up that? But
Can or I can summarize, it's up to you.
I just want to say this, it was very dangerous. I gotta get this off my chest here, because I helped everybody down. When we went in that gate, we should not have gone in that gate. We had no business going down that gate. That gate belongs to,
That's association property.
yes, but not only that, we went over a wall and then, Kathy, I held her arm, as you saw, I even helped you up. And, we're on blocks, wood, I mean, it was so dangerous for all the officers, it was. We shouldn't, that was not the way in. The way in was around the building to the left and down the stairs. And down, down the stairs that you hit your head on, that's the one. We went in a very back way. It's a good thing Bert was in.
Yeah, we would have had to go through the house actually. To
No, not, you go down, we go around the back and then down the deck.
Oh, okay.
And, but you go.
I didn't realize we walked around the association.
Yeah, we're on, not only that, but we were walking, we went over the wall and then we're on cinder blocks. We should be safe. I mean, we shouldn't put ourselves, and we were told not to go down there. The last time, remember, we all went the other way. Remember the low,
I remember walking down the steps.
Thank yeah, so we didn't do it. I didn't declare that. And to your point of, you said that on that email saying that we have no authority on that property. You're sadly mistaken.
That's not
Yeah.
my email.
Well, whoever sent that email,
I'm not aware of any email.
It was on your email that they said it was from you to us, stating that, that the Inland Wetlands Commission has no authority on Boulder Lake.
I didn't say that.
I have the email. I mean, it might have been from Kathy.
We'll have to look in the record and pull up the exact language of it, but
Yeah.
while we're looking for that, I can certainly share with you.
What, can I ask a question? Why is that germane to the issue that we're talking about?
Because you're looking for an after the fact permit, right? For that.
Yeah, but that doesn't have anything to do with the access.
We're not talking about the access, we're talking about Mr. Jar's after 56, after the fact permit.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the gate and the steps.
No, that has nothing to do with you. So, in essence, we cannot write permit for that without, he has to go through the Boulder Lake tax. Tax, it's a municipality. They have their own taxes. It's just like having an HOA, you can't even put a flag on unless you get permission. He never went in front of the board to get permission for a floating dock. And the floating dock is what we applied, gave him permission for, a floating dock. And he actually has it 4 poles holding that dock. Am I right? 4 poles.
Yep.
The Boulder Lake owns that property. And Boulder Lake owns the ground it's in, the water it's in. And Mr. Jar never went, and he knows he's supposed to go to get an approval, just like an HOA. You can't hang a flag. Everything has to be perfect. Everything has to be done right. But this is not an HOA, a homeowners association. This is a taxed municipality. They got their own tax. The only thing they're missing is their own fire department, police department. But they pay, everybody that lives there, 91 homes, pay a tax to Boulder Lake. Boulder Lake owns that water, owns the dam. They spend thousands on that dam. They reconstructed that dam. That's their property. Mr. Jar, 56, has to go before the board to ask permission.
So
To do that.
you're bringing up a good point that Abby pointed out to me before the meeting started.
Okay.
So in section 7 of our regulations under application requirements, 7.3 states all applications shall include the following information in writing. 7.3B says the owner's name, address and telephone number, and written consent if the applicant is not the owner of the property involved in the application. Upon further review of the application, and I don't think we don't have it on the screen, but the dock and the ramp actually extend past his property line onto Boulder Lake property.
Yes, it does.
So technically, they're asking, and honestly, we probably should have got this on the
We did.
original.
We all made a mistake, like we went through the gate.
Careful, I'll do that.
Okay, but, so Abby is suggesting that because of this and because we haven't really come across this before, trying to permit something on
Somebody
an
else.
association property that we confer with council for the town before we take any action.
But I just want to be cognizant that they're their own municipality. Everybody pays tax to that. In other words, all those 91 residences pay tax. They own the roads. That's the only thing, and they own that dam. They own the dam. They reconstructed that dam. They do all testing on that dam. It all comes out of their money. But everybody has to follow the rules. The rules are loading docks that, what a floating dock is, you let it go out, it goes out. Mr. Jar, if I remember correctly, there was 4 poles. He has it anchored down, which is not part of the rules.
Well, so we can't get into.
I'm not into that rule.
Yeah.
He has to go to, he has to
Well, so
go.
for our requirements, requiring as part of the application, written consent if the applicant is not the owner of the property.
Right, so we need written consent from
The
overlay.
tax district.
Okay,
It is
as long as they-
their property at that point. At
Thank
least,
So,
that's that's how our regulations are written.
okay, so you're saying that you have jurisdiction over the lake.
We have nothing but.
Say that again?
I think the important thing for the commission and for Mr. Jones to go through here is that the Inland Wetlands Commission has jurisdiction to evaluate the impacts to the resources that are within its authority, right?
Right.
So that is clear. What is also written in the regulations is that this is a new structure, right? This is not, we've had some advice from town council as a commission on previous structures that span property lines that were pre-existing. That's a different scenario. What is being discussed right now, and I understand that there's disagreement about that, we're not going to rehash that issue tonight. However, it is important to note that this commission does not enforce particular design standards or rules of the Boulder Lake Tax District. That is within their purview. However, that consent to put something brand new on that property owned by the district as an entity is written into our regulations and needs to be addressed. And so, I want to just draw your attention to some correspondence that is in the record for this application. There was a question asked of the town that I responded on behalf of the town manager with her approval, earlier today, essentially asking essentially stating that there should not be any conflict between the town of Clinton permitting efforts and the requirements imposed by the Boulder Lake Tax District. My response was the Inland Wetlands Commission evaluates the projects within its jurisdiction and regulatory authority. The IWC cannot use standards established outside of its authority as the basis of regulatory decisions. The town acknowledges the significant work undertaken by the Boulder Lake District and the property owners in their stewardship role on Boulder Lake. The district's requirements for activities related to Boulder Lake may differ from or even be more stringent than the Clinton wetlands regulations.
Right.
The district may enforce its requirements separately from the town's regulatory process. That's a different piece of this puzzle than the consent to put the new structure there, which is the subject of 7.3 regulations. The response from Wes Kavanaugh, who is the Boulder Lake District Board President, asked me to read this into the record, and I said that I would. Abby, please have this BLTD respond to you, your note read into the record. At or before tonight's meeting, this is factual information that should be considered before any decision is made. Building on someone else's property without their permission is illegal. I'm sure the IWC does not intend to permit an illegal act, but please note that the Boulder Lake Tax District has not granted permission for a dock at 56 West Shore Drive. The application for permission was made clear to you and the property owner. There is no permission for any dock granted by the BLTD, and therefore the IWC should not issue a permit for this illegal act. The property owner has been notified that he does not yet have our permission and knows what he has to submit to us for us to complete our review. Granting him a building permit would be premature. So again, this is not a building permit, however, that's as of 3:36. Yeah. That was correspondence received, and I understand this is not a public hearing, but because of the section 7.3 in our regulations, it's important to sort of note. So one thing, sorry.
When was that received?
That was received at 3:36, and it should be up in the record now.
That was received today?
And was added into the record.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your response.
Yes, it was received today. So it
Okay.
should be, it should be up in the record. You should have hopefully received an email about that coming into
Yeah, if you could, I cannot upload your information. I would like a paper copy, please.
Absolutely. So I think there's certainly an opportunity to continue this discussion to provide the opportunity for additional information to come to this commission, whether it is the consent element or giving Mr. Jarvis time to address it. I think that
Yeah, that's definitely a legal issue and not an engineering issue. I can tell you how the
Correct.
ramps fasten to the concrete, but I'll let the attorneys argue the legal issues.
So the commission would be that our town attorney is the most appropriate entity to address the Boulder Lake Tax District's current concerns and in opposition to this particular path. And to continue to the next meeting to allow for time for him to take a look.
And I like the Scott Hartley's, advice to bring it to the town council meeting on issues with Boulder Lake before it comes to wetlands,
This is not a town council.
No, this is our purview, but I will say this.
Oh, town council, not council.
If you think about it, Mr. Joe, if you think about it, if they're their own municipality, which the town made them do that, right? So they're their own taxes. So everybody that lives, those 91 homes pay taxes to.
Right, no, I understand a tax district and associations and everything, yeah.
But that lake belongs to Boulder Lake.
Yeah, okay, that's
Right,
fine.
What your plan had to do was go and file, just
They needed
an application.
to include work that's not on his property.
Yeah, because now he's off his property to their property.
No,
I don't know why he has to be so hard about it.
saying we.
It's so easy.
No, every house there has well, most of them that are on the lake have a float.
Yes, and they all got permits. And all allowed. They're all
So
allowed.
he received a cease and desist from Kathy King. So we responded to it, and that's the purpose of this whole hearing. And if you say we're talking to the wrong people, then we'll go talk to the Lake District.
No, the issue is not talking to the wrong people, it's you're only talking to half of the people that would need to be.
All right, fine. I was not aware of that requirement, and we'll go ahead and do that.
Said nothing to you about seeing people from the Boulder Lake?
Pardon me?
I think what's important here is that
There's
there's a requirement in the regulations for this new piece of equipment being placed on a certain particular piece of
Yeah.
property. There's a requirement for written consent of the owner.
Yeah.
That's the part of the commission referring to the town attorney for an assessment of, to make sure that the application decision at this commission under your jurisdiction of the activity in a resource area can continue. That's what's on the table right now. Whatever Boulder Lakes, the district's requirements are, assessments, all those different pieces, that is their purview.
That's your purview.
That, I just don't wanna conflate the two, but what the commission's question is the requirement for written consent and how this commission proceeds with the application.
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this,
Continue
Continue.
to the next month.
continue it next month, and get clarification from the town attorney. I mean, because we'll settle this once and for all, because I know we're gonna be going through this again. I know, and I feel it.
Okay, and then that, Mr. Doan, that gives your applicant or your client
A whole month.
another month to get written consent as well.
I'm sorry, again, your audio is just horrible.
Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Have your client,
I can see you coming.
have your client get written consent.
Yeah, I hear you.
Done.
Okay,
That's all. And they'll give him the guidance.
okay.
So I have a motion to continue to the next meeting.
That was my motion.
Of course, in second. Any discussion?
Something else came up during the sidewalk that might need to go to town council. The question came up, what if?
Oh, yeah.
Members were to fall and be injured,
Yeah.
would the town be liable?
Yeah,
And someone was gonna take that back to town council.
Yeah, I asked about that.
Push for the internet.
And I will ask that.
I asked.
Yeah,
I specifically asked.
good for the town to know that. It's a good.
Mr. Town Council, you heard
COU and CIL.
Different council, different council.
Yeah.
He's quick to respond.
Not the town council.
Council.
Yes, the lawyer. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? We will, that's a good idea to get clarification on that.
Thank you, Tom, for bringing that up. Yeah, because the people showed up. Abby, I don't know if you know this, people showed up on that. Then, our chairman said, this is a public, it's public, they can go. And he goes, well, what if they get hurt?
We'll discuss. it with the town attorney.
And we also, I'm sure because the question did come up, when we're holding a site visit that is noted as like a public meeting open to the public.
Yep.
Are the public allowed to go on to private property with us?
No,
Not only on the property, but through the applicant's house.
Yeah,
I will absolutely get confirmation on that. I haven't had conflict before. I have in other communities, seen a requirement as a part of the application process. Where folks actually state that they understand that if a site visit happens, it's a public meeting and it's part of the greater.
okay.
So we'll get definitive legal advice for you there, and then answer the question about 7.3. I saw that we have a motion in a second and then, yep.
Yeah, we've just been.
Well, good.
During the site visit, somebody takes a picture, that's public record.
Correct.
That's right. Very good. Armand was our playing, he left. He's leaving. He left. What are you running for?
So we
Hey, we
have,
have an opening for you, buddy.
back here, we got a motion, we have a second, any further discussions? All right, those, yeah, go ahead.
Just add, the point you brought up is valid. But we should mention that the homeowner said directly to us, I don't want these people on my property.
Yeah, we did not have, nobody there.
Well, that was legal. We'll make sure that we have it clear.
And maybe that's something that needs to be in our application.
Absolutely.
Ways
Yeah.
that makes it very clear.
And can the property owner insist on that?
No, what did I tell him? Same as our chairman. This is.
It was a public hearing, but on private property, and I don't.
We'll get clarification.
That's the law.
But how about just just think about it. One of us fell. Any one of us.
so probably in the sign injury waivers, I would imagine, something of that nature.
No.
And I would guess that if you wanted an application, you would have to agree to a public hearing. And if you didn't want that, then you would have to fork out your application. That's my amateur guess with the councils. But that's the only way to do it. You can't say like, oh, I want to do this thing, but nobody can look at it. Well,
Then you're not gonna get it.
all right.
It might have, I'm right, sure.
Yeah, I think this is probably purpose it.
Who's got the biggest pocket? Let's go do a sidewalk.
All right, all right, so all those voted in favor of continuing this revision to an application to next month's meeting, say aye. Anyone opposed or abstain? Okay, motion carries.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Doe.
Have a good
Uh,
evening.
Thank you. Thank you, Abby.
Item 5D, IWC 24-1, 327 East Main Street. We discussed that tonight. We continued that to the next monthly meeting and kept the public hearing open. Item agenda 5E, WEO applications. There was one for Country Shire Lane. I don't know if you hear that.
I know that the Kathy is in the process of reviewing it now.
Okay, so we'll discuss that with Kathy on next month's meeting. Under 5F enforcement, there's nothing there. Item agenda number 6, correspondence.
Just what I read into the record that.
Number 7, old business. I don't think that there's any old business for us to cover. New business under 8, I don't have anything. Chair's comments, 9, other, thank you for hanging in today. I know this was a long one. We'll continue it next month. So with that, take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second.
Okay, favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You came to one of our longest meetings ever. The longest meeting we ever had in our life.
That's not true. You were here for like a month.
That's it.